Just a refresher on the Fourth Amendment. Pat, do you remember? The third, of course, is not quartering soldiers. The Fourth Amendment is...
Right. Fourth Amendment.
Warrantless searches.
Warrantless searches?
Yes.
That's what I was just going to say.
Fourth Amendment is the right against warrantless searches of a person's home. It is it's number 4. It's one of the things that really set us apart forever. We have been set apart in many places. Have you seen the movie or the series Criminal?
No.
It's a really good show. I think it's from Great Britain. At least the first one I watched was from Great Britain.
Is it Netflix?
Netflix. And then there's a version from France, Germany, and Spain.
Oh.
And they're different stories and different actors in different countries, obviously. And I was watching the one, I think, from Spain, and I'm like, what? You can't. Oh, crap. You can do that in Spain. Same in Germany, where they do things, the police do things, you're like,
they can do warrantless searches and all that.
It's crazy what
it's an amazing protection.
It really is. So now the Supreme Court is looking in to see if that really is something we should worry about. So before a police officer or any other government official can enter your home, they have to show a judge that they have probable cause that they will discover specific evidence of a crime. This was because the king, and this is what the Stasi did, this is what the KGB did, this is what all of the Marxists do. Mm-hmm. They just go into a house and they say, we know they're hiding something. I mean, look at them. We know they're hiding something. And they'll tear your house apart, and they'll do it sometimes just to harass, other times because they really think that they have something on you, but it doesn't matter in the end. And they can come into your house at any time. Now, there are some exceptions to this right. I wasn't aware of this, but it makes sense. The exceptions are, police officer looks through a window, sees a person about to stab another person. Can the officer go in and stop the attack? He doesn't have a warrant.
Yes, because there's a probable cause, right?
Yeah.
I would say
extreme
that's probable cause or extreme
circumstances. And it falls under emergency aid.
Yep.
And extreme circumstances. So if the officer looks through the same window and sees somebody collapsing from a heart attack,
they can go in and help.
They can go in and help. Neither of these, the court have ruled, violate the Fourth Amendment. However, there is something else called the community caretaking exception. Originally, it comes from a case in which police took a gun out of the trunk of an impounded vehicle without obtaining a warrant. The Supreme Court held that there was a community caretaking exception to the Fourth Amendment's warrant required because police perform community caretaking functions totally divorced from the detection, investigation, and acquisition of evidence relating to the violation of a criminal statute.
Stop it. That's ridiculous. That's insane. I mean, you're completely negating the Fourth Amendment there.
I know. Their case was this is an abandoned car.
Wow.
And you can't just leave a gun in the car. Okay. All right. Now, in the first two exceptions, you can understand it. This last exception is not limited to an immediate emergency. Okay? That's just, I'm just performing a common good. Okay. Here's the new case. Does this apply to a person's home? Remember, they found a gun.
Sure shouldn't.
The court has announced that they're going to hear arguments next month on a case that presents this issue. In the case, Mr. Canelia or whatever was arguing with his wife and melodramatically put an unloaded gun on the kitchen table and said, "Just shoot me now and get it over with." He didn't threaten her with the gun. It was unloaded. He put it in the center of the table and said, just shoot me now. His wife, in this argument, called a non-emergency number for the police who arrived. The police disagreed whether the husband was acting normal or agitated, but they did convince him to take an ambulance to the local hospital for an evaluation. Police didn't go with him. While he was on his way to the hospital, the missus told police that her husband kept 2 handguns in the home. The police decided to search the home for the guns without obtaining a warrant. Now, the missus did consent to have the police search their home, but it was legally negated because the police lied to her and said, oh, your husband said it was okay for us to search and seize all of the guns. That wasn't true. So they located the 2 guns, seized them, and he sued for the violation of his Fourth Amendment right to privacy and his Second Amendment right to keep handguns in the home for self-protection. The First Circuit Court of Appeals, which is the federal court just under the Supreme Court, sided with the police. The court wrote, at its core, community caretaking doctrine is designed to give police elbow room to take appropriate action when unforeseen circumstances present some transient hazard that requires immediate attention.
Remember the elbow room clause? That's just...
Right. It's right with a good and bloody cause, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Understanding the core purpose of the doctrine leads to the conclusion that it should not be limited to just motor vehicle context. Threats to individual and community safety are not confined to the highways. Wow.
You couple that with the civil asset forfeiture situation that's going on that's kind of similar.
That no one ever seems to talk about.
That nobody talks about. And I think it's one of the most critical problems we face right now, freedom-wise. $29 billion in assets have been stolen from people over the last 14 years.
In case you don't know what that is, this comes from a Reagan law, the RICO Act, wasn't it?
I think it was.
When they were trying to get mobsters, and they couldn't get the mobsters, and because they had all this wealth and everything else. So the RICO Act, you could go in and you could take their assets and hold them, and then when they were tried,
work it out later.
Yeah, you'd work it out later, or you'd sell them if they went to jail forever. And it was a cut through the Constitution. It was a reasonable-ish cut. I don't like cutting the Constitution. Ish.
It's a big ish.
Yeah.
And it's a much bigger ish now.
Yeah. Back then, it was like, well, we've got, the Gambino crime family and everything else. Trouble always comes when you go, yeah, but. No.
Right.
No buts. No buts. Because down the road, these are the things that happen. So now, civil asset forfeiture, if you're just driving in a place and they happen to see cash, you open up your glove box and you have
$10,000 in there.
Yeah, or $1,000 of cash. You just have cash, like it's from a bank.
They take it.
They can legally take it.
And keep it.
And
you're not charged with anything. You're not charged with any kind of crime. You just lost your $10,000, or in some cases, much more than that. There was a guy in Utah pulled over by the Utah Highway Patrol who lost $500,000. Took that all the way to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court eventually told him, you got to give it back. And as of like a year ago, I haven't I haven't followed up on this, but he still hadn't gotten it back.
Probably because they spent it.
Yeah, probably did.
These are the towns, and this is going to get much worse as we go into an economic recession or depression. These towns are using this to survive. They can't write enough tickets, or they don't have enough income tax coming in.
It fights the drug lords, is what they claim in Texas. Well, that's money that's valuable to fight against the drug cartels. Well, I'm sorry, that's not your money. That's no excuse. You can't have that. That's not yours. That belongs to an American citizen, and there's no crime with carrying cash on your person. There's no crime. You can do it if you want.
Yeah, but a reasonable person wouldn't.
Right.
A reasonable person wouldn't have $500,000 in cash.
That's true.
And that's what they say.
That's true.
I mean, people are, if you're traveling with cash now, if you're traveling really with anything.
And it is suspicious, but so what?
Well, if you had the cash and you took it from the bank, you have to keep the bank
keep the
statement,
yes,
so you know that it came out of there. But even that doesn't save you.
Yeah.
Even if you have the receipt of where this cash came from, it still doesn't save you.
And they'll do this at airports. They'll do this on highways. They'll confiscate
people in
everywhere.
highways in Texas that are stopped all the time like that.
All the time.
And it's not good, and it's happening all over the country. You know, when people say, what rights have been violated? Well, that would be one. Warrantless searches. That would be another one. You notice this one is lying to the police. So they were lying to the police, and the court still said, yeah, but they can do that because extenuating circumstances. I mean, they were looking out for the cop. They were lying. They lied about it. It's the same thing with the FISA court. The FBI lied to the FISA court to suspend all of Donald Trump's team's civil rights. All of them. You had no privacy. They were listening. It was warrantless. All of it.
That was the start of the whole problem, too.
Correct. And it was based on a lie. And if they can do it to him, the president of the United States, what do you think they're going to do to you? And as I saw this case, I thought, boy, this is something the left has got to be funding. The left has got to be pouring money into this court case. Who is even arguing that case? Because think of what can be done to your rights if you lose the Fourth Amendment. It's completely gone. You're not accused of a crime. They didn't have to go to a court, and you find police officers in your house, and you can't say, where's your warrant? You just have to take it. Boy, that is not America.